Little Squid Comics Podcast 2.0, episode 11, season 2.
That's a mouthful.
Mouthful.
Yay.
So anyway, I'm Drew.
I'm Don.
I'm Scott.
And we get together every couple weeks and we talk about comic books and movies and how horrible Star Wars is.
I have been watching the gallery, though, still. The Disney
gallery.
Gallery, where they're talking about the behind the scenes of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So I think, what was it, last Friday was the last episode. So they had 8 episodes of the Mandalorian. They had 8 episodes of the behind the scenes. But
Wow.
some of it's, I don't know. I'm a big nerd, so I like that stuff. This one was talking about how the little, Easter egg type things that they tried to throw throughout in different ways and how it related to the original movies or the Star Wars movies in general. So it was pretty good. I liked all that type stuff. Listen to Jon Favreau and some of that type of
Cool. I watched the cartoonist kayfabe interview with Robert Kirkman. Did you see that one?
I saw that it was out. I have not been able to watch it.
That was pretty interesting. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Kirkman?
And, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
he speaks very well.
He does. He's very well.
They are slamming him out.
Oh my god, it's crazy. And then I watched the Kevin Eastman one. Luckily, that one was only 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But then they did a Rob Liefeld one.
Right.
I didn't watch that one. It's like 2 hours and like 40 minutes.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can take 2 hours and 40 minutes of Rob Liefeld because I'm guessing they don't get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I've listened to. I watched it. Well, I could say listen to it because I listen to it in my car, so I don't really watch it. But, yeah, I think I've listened to like 30 minutes, and they've asked 2 questions. I think, but
Yeah.
I have heard stuff that I hadn't heard before from him, but I don't know that I've really listened to a lot of podcasts.
Well, Jim
or
Rugg
interviews
actually.
with Liefeld.
Rugg interviewed him on his old podcast one time.
Oh, okay.
And so I listened to that, and I've heard him on other stuff.
But yeah,
too.
dude, he's like just high energy. Like,
Yeah, he
I
is.
guess
Liefeld,
apparently
yeah.
he has a podcast
Yeah, he started his own podcast.
called Rob.
I don't know, Rob's World, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically just him rambling for
and he's
however
good at
long. Because he said that he's been cooped up
that. Yeah.
because he's been in quarantine or whatever, and he's just like, I ran out of people to talk to because I have like 2 or 3 people that I talk to, and we eventually ran out of stuff to talk about. So he's like, it's basically me just losing my mind and putting it out in a podcast.
Yeah.
He's like, I just ramble for whatever 45 minutes, Rob's thoughts for like 45 minutes or an hour, and I just put it out there. So I was thinking about checking in to listen to it, but yeah, I saw that they had God, I didn't even make it through the last wave of stuff, and then they've got Kirkman and Eastman and Liefeld, and I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah. Well, the Kirkman one was pretty interesting. I didn't hear a lot of stuff I hadn't heard before, but it was funny. He was saying like he's got that new book, Firepower. He's like, yeah, we already have like 18 issues done. I'm like, you haven't even launched the book and you have 18 issues?
Right.
And Rug's like, why would you get that many in the bag before you... He's like, I don't know, I just like to be ahead, He did say a really cool thing that I liked. He's like...
Canadian song, though, he was a year ahead when they did that.
Someone asked, he was talking about consistency, and he's like, well, how do you find these artists that are so, on time and consistent, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, I look for a lot of artists. He's like, there's no such thing as a slow artist and a fast artist. That's a myth. Artists are however fast they are. If your book is late, it's because your editor screwed up. The editor knows how fast that artist is and how fast he works. And if the editor solicits it ahead of time and doesn't give him enough lead time and the book's late, that's the editor's fault, not the artist's fault. The editor should know this is how fast this artist works. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, and it's never the artist's fault because the editor should know that he's like, in his experience, every artist works at a certain pace, whatever that is. Some guys crank out a page a day. Some guys crank out a page a week. It just depends on the artist.
Yeah.
But you got to know that when you do a project with them, and you have to schedule appropriately, right?
Right.
Yeah, that was his point. And I thought that was, I never heard of it.
No, I get that. I mean, I've said it years ago on this podcast. It's like they get in a hurry and they're like, oh, we're doing this project with Alan Moore and Kevin Nolan.
Yeah.
And boom, it's San Diego. So yeah, it's coming out. And then they solicit the first issue, and then the second issue is like 9 months late. It's like, get at least half of them in the bag before you spill the beans, and then
they can't control themselves.
I know.
Well, it was like when I was talking to Greg Smallwood one year when he was starting that Vampironica, and he was all excited about it, and then the issue came out. He's like, "Yeah, I told them not to solicit it yet because I needed so much lead time to make sure we got it to come out on time, and they went ahead and did it. And then I was behind because I told them I was going to be behind because they did it too soon. And he's like, and then they wanted to bring in like a fill-in guy, and I'm like, why did you jump the gun? Wait till I'm where I need to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, he told them how fast he could go, and they ignored it and put it out anyway. You know.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
like,
no, I'm with you. It irritates me that then stuff's late, and then people get mad, and then they have to wait, and it's like.
So anyway, they've got a lot of good content.
Yeah.
If you're a comic book guy, you would like it if it was about Star Wars.
I'd like it
Behind the
probably anyway.
scenes. You might.
So, yeah. It's because of the
Well, I
fact
think
that it
you'd like
sounds
the
they're-
Kirkman one since you read almost
I know.
everything he does.
Well, because I do tend to be more attracted to the writers and the artists a lot of times when it comes to a lot of stuff. So, you know, yeah, obviously with Kirkman, I probably would.
Yeah.
But even I've seen some stuff with Liefeld, and he's a
He's
bit of a character. Yeah.
The Eastman one was interesting, even though it was short. Well, because they had that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode of The Toys That Made Us.
Oh, that's true.
And he's like, yeah, they kind of got some stuff wrong, you know. They got where I was from wrong, and they asked him about the tank, you know, because they said he bought like a tank when he got his first check. He's like, that's not what happened at all. He's like, it was after all that hit, and I was like living in like California or LA, and I was like I was on some movie set. I was talking to some guy who like supplies movies with like different military vehicles, and he was telling the guy, yeah, I'd really like to have such and such tank. And he told him what kind, because it was like from an old comic book, like the haunted tank that DC used to do. And the guy's like, and he's like, how much? He's like, oh, I have one of those. He's like, really? How much? He's like, like 35 grand. He's like, are you, and it works? It's like, I can get a working tank for 35,000.
Holy crap.
He's like, yeah, sign me up. And he's like, yeah, I got it. I used to drive it around my property, and just because it worked, and he would just roll it around. Is like, I'm like, wow. I mean, hell, I could buy it. I mean, 35 grand isn't unreachable for any of us, really. And you could take out a loan. I mean, I could.
Yeah.
I mean, I could come up with 35 grand if I had to. I mean, I can't really blow it on a tank, but
just a medium-sized car nowadays.
That's what I mean. It's like
35.
it's like the price of a car, and you're getting a tank.
I know.
So
but
I
that
mean,
was back.
that's true. It'd probably be more now. It's
Yeah.
probably 20 years ago. But
Maybe
you know what I'm
100
saying? It's
grand.
like,
oh yeah.
but the way they made it sound in that documentary, it was like, oh, you know, he blew it on a tank.
he
you
blew it
know.
on a tank and then needed to go back and get some work or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. So, anyway. So, what else have you been watching other than the documentaries? Anything?
I did watch Ozark. I got through all that.
You got through all of it?
All 3
You're
seasons.
all caught up
Did you like the end?
of season 3?
Of which season?
Of season 3.
The end.
all
The end
kinds
of
of
all
stuff.
of it. Well, now we're waiting.
Yeah, I mean,
Boom.
it's okay. It's, you know,
Don't get on that plane.
I've never,
Bam.
I never made it through Breaking Bad.
Oh, really?
For multiple reason type things, and this reminds me a bit.
It's
of,
so Breaking
it
Bad.
is so
of
Breaking Bad. Yeah.
and you know, just more of a family type of affair than
Breaking Bad was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but and you know, maybe a mix of, like I said before, Game of Thrones. You know, with these different families
that's true
and this
too.
type of stuff. You know, and death's going to happen where to people they're going to try to surprise you a little bit. You know, I mean they did do some of that freaking first season where they freaking shot the Dell or whatever the hell the Snells did, and that was pretty. Holy shit! I mean, at first I was kind of like, oh crap, this is not going to be good, and then when it just happened, it was like, whoa. So, you know, so then because of that first season and how they like to do that type of stuff, when Helen got her brains blown out, well, spoiler alert, sorry, when somebody got their brains splattered there
Not
at the
that
very
surprising.
end. That it wasn't, it
Well,
wasn't.
I was surprised. 'Cause I didn't
like,
think it was
holy
going that way.
crap.
That wasn't what I was expecting.
I figured we were slowed down and we were just going to go into the next season
Yeah.
and just kind of leave things hanging.
They
and
caught
then
me
you get
off
up-
guard with that.
Yeah, and then you get off the plane and it's like, bam, and I'm like, okay,
Really?
I
But
guess
like
that's
Scott
how we're
said,
gonna
I mean,
end it.
if I was reading the tea leaves, I probably shouldn't have been caught off
And
guard.
maybe it was because of the fact that I watched 3 seasons, within like 2 weeks.
Well, we
you
did.
know, type
I did
stuff.
too.
Okay. So I don't know. Based off of that and how deaths were coming and things of this nature, I was like, well, somebody's going to die here at the end.
Well, that's what I was thinking too.
Because I honestly, to tell you the truth, the way that they were lining things out in season 3, I was not going to be surprised if they killed off Jason Bateman's character.
Yeah.
Type thing. Because it seemed like he was making just stupid ass decisions the whole season 3 in general.
Really? I didn't think he was. I
some
thought
respects.
the wife was making.
Well, he
decisions.
just wasn't being very clear on why he was against things and
correct.
making these stupid things to try to avoid her. And instead, if he would have just flat out probably sat down with her
Yeah.
and they have an actual conversation about things instead of just fighting.
He was basically letting her do something stupid and then saying, "See, I told you so."
That's right, yeah. And trying to do that type of thing. Instead, he tried to do something that turned out to be even dumber than what the hell she was trying to do,
Yeah.
in some cases. So,
Oh, and the last season with the brother was very frustrating too, because you just knew he was spiraling.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah,
oh man,
yeah.
get that guy under control. What are you guys doing?
well, but he did a good job acting.
He did, but-
So-
Someone put a bullet in that guy's head about 3 episodes before.
before that, yeah, but it was tough. I don't know. It's okay.
That's
I
what
don't know that it's something I would have watched as much if it wasn't for all the
Hype.
hype, and people talking about, oh, this is so great, type things. And I think it's not, the acting's really good, even it's pretty well written and everything. I just don't know that it's my cup of tea, so to speak.
I think if it had come out 10 years ago, it would have been a lot more. But it feels a lot like Breaking Bad. It feels a lot like a lot of stuff that we've seen since then,
Yeah.
So, I mean,
If
it's
you
not
were-
like super original.
If you were ever to kill me, I would expect you to hang out in a Walmart parking lot for 2 days and just drink.
And drink vodka.
Well, that's
drink
before she
vodka
killed
out
him.
of a solo cup. No, it was after.
Afterwards, she went back to that.
Oh,
Walmart
did
thing.
she? Oh, okay.
And, which I thought was funny because it has all the colors of Walmart, but it's not Walmart.
Right, I know
It's
they can't call it Walmart.
Yeah, I
but
can't remember what it was now.
Yeah, it was like
but
very
it's
close.
down there, close, and
Yeah.
it's Walmart.
Yeah.
I
essentially
shouldn't
it is.
say Walmart. I should say whatever it is because it wasn't Walmart, but it is Walmart.
All right, so Zach wanted to watch all of the Star Wars movies, like
Movies?
1 through 9.
Woo,
All right.
woo. But skip Rogue One.
Yeah, we're
Can't
not
do
we're
that.
not doing the
You don't like
the in
Rogue One, though,
betweens.
do you?
I don't like Rogue One.
Ugh.
much. It's okay.
Love Rogue One.
It's okay.
I
It's,
like
it's
Rogue
fine.
One.
All right, so we're
Some of my
watching the
favorites.
Star
That's
Wars
just
movies.
because of the fact that was basically on film how I played with my Star Wars figures back when I was 5, or whatever.
I'm pretty sure I'm over
wrote
Star
that back
Wars
when you were-
at this point. I think I'm done with Star Wars.
Are you?
I think I'm over it because I watched episode 1, Phantom Menace. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, there's cool things in it, but in
There's
general,
some really cool scenes.
But
the pod
even the
racer
cool
scene is still
even
really
the
well.
even the couple cool scenes aren't worth all the crap in that movie. Like, I always thought like Jar Jar wasn't as annoying as everybody said, but I think I take it back. He is really annoying.
Really?
And
Okay.
it's just I don't know. It's just bad. All right, and then the CGI has gotten worse over time too.
That's true too.
I mean, it's definitely
the CGI
aged.
is showing
And
its
then
age.
episode 2 is obviously the worst of them all. I
It
think.
probably is. The problem with episode
I've
2
watched
is that
It
episode
gets
2,
so slow.
the first 2/3 are just crap.
Oh, I
and then
know.
that last third,
Last third is good.
is actually pretty good.
It is because it's just all action.
That's right, and it's more of what you kind of got from like
Correct.
the original trilogy, and some
Yeah,
respects and
absolutely.
stuff. So that's where I have a really difficult time with that. But it is so
bad, the
in
first
that,
2/3,
that-
yeah.
that first two.
I mean, the Obi-Wan stuff is okay, but anytime
but it's
Anakin,
fucking just stupid.
but even anytime Anakin and Padme are on the screen, it's just
Well, that's awful. But
it's horrible.
Obi-Wan and his whole everything looks like there's a planet here, but there's not a planet here, and he has to interview like
Yeah,
5 fucking
oh my
people
God,
to
it's
figure this
so
out. I mean, it's
stupid.
just like dumb.
Yeah, it's
just
so
go out
stupid.
there, see what the hell's out there.
yeah.
Ah,
And then you get to
Sorry.
episode 3. I actually think episode 3 is fairly compared to the other two.
compared to the other two,
pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the great battle with Obi-Wan and Grievous. I mean,
It's just
it
the
still
whole,
seems like Anakin turns bad way too quick.
Yeah, the
and
whole
it's-
turn is
I
just-
don't know. It's
yeah.
just bizarre.
yeah, just
But whatever. So now we're watching episode 4. We're over halfway through episode 4. Episode 4 is
New
horrible. I don't know why people think episode 4 is good. It's so bad. Like you could literally, if I went to the theater and saw that movie today, I would just be making fun of it the whole time.
I think some of it is the fact that it didn't age well.
Well,
in
the
a lot of
writing's
perspectives.
bad.
So, oh yeah, the writing's awful.
Like, okay. Like, so they get off the ship and the stormtroopers are looking for the droids. He pulls up like a ring of metal. Look, sir, droids. That's the dumbest thing ever. Like, it could be anything. It could be a speeder. It could be anything could have dropped a piece of metal. Why does that piece of metal make the stormtrooper think it's droids?
Maybe he knew that that piece of metal was exactly something from a.
And even Darth
Whatever.
Vader says, like, he's like, they won't get away, or they won't do something this time. What did they do last time? It doesn't make any. The dialogue is like, even the things he says don't make any sense.
But even at
And Luke is like, but I want to go get some power converters. That is the most whiny, annoying. How is that guy your hero?
Oh, Luke is hugely annoying.
Oh my god,
But
it's so bad.
part of the thing is that at its time too, though, it was like kind of a. I mean, it was meant to be kind of that low budget B movie sci-fi type thing, you know, pulp type stuff. That
it was, but it's
Lucas
not even
grew up
good
on.
pulp. It's
So-
bad.
But you are right. It is not. A New Hope, I don't feel like has aged very well.
It's
Me
just
personally.
not good.
I don't know. It's not good. I don't know. But there again, I have.
But if there wasn't the
good memories
nostalgia,
of that thing.
like, okay, it's
If
hard. It's hard for me to
If
even.
I saw Star Wars New Hope today, I would still probably enjoy it just from the cheesiness, campiness, and sci-fi stuff of it.
I don't know if I would. I'd like to say I would, but I don't know because when I watch it now, like, there's too much nostalgia and memories mixed up in it that I can't really judge it completely objectively.
That's true.
But I'm trying, and it's not going well. It's just, it's not good.
I don't know. It was a low budget film type thing, so
I mean,
think that there's a
Alec
lot of
Guinness.
stuff.
Once he shows up, he helps a lot because he's actually a
So
good
is Peter
actor.
Cushing,
Yeah,
He's
but he's
amazing.
just not in it that much.
so yeah,
But yeah,
but he's really good.
it's. And then okay, so you watch episode 1 through 3, and you see Obi-Wan, and he's like, "Who's R2-D2?" Dude, you've been around him for like 3 movies.
Yeah, but we also knew that.
And then
Obi-Wan's a bit senile anyway, and
And then he's
whatever
telling
else.
Luke, it's like, yeah, your uncle was against your father going off. And the uncle didn't even know Anakin most of the time. What are you talking about?
we knew
He's
that.
like-
We know that Obi-Wan was a bit of a liar. So.
I mean, well, even the line, but he's just like, it doesn't even fit anymore. Like, that the whole scene where he's like telling Luke about his dad, it's like, doesn't even make any
it
sense.
doesn't even work
It
anymore.
doesn't even jibe.
Yeah.
So I think they really just need to remake episodes 1 through 6. All new cast,
God,
everything, just do a
No.
redo. And you can actually make them flow well. Keep the same story, because the story is
I
good,
don't know.
but there's just
No, you don't
too
need to
much.
remake it.
No, they need to just remake it.
I
Start
think
over.
Empire Strikes Back is still good.
We haven't got there yet. I remember liking Empire Strikes Back quite a bit.
I
I think
s-
the writing is so much better because Lawrence Kasdan, is that the guy?
Yeah, he was in there. And
He wrote it.
yeah.
Oh, no, I guess he directed.
Was that Cagston that directed it?
Oh, I don't know.
Whatever. Yeah,
Maybe.
I think you're right.
I don't know who wrote it, but Irving Kershner? Maybe he's the guy. who wrote it.
Kirshner's the one that, there
Yeah.
you go. That,
George
that
Lucas got a screenwriter to come in.
but
and
he
help.
did get another writer.
That makes a
though.
huge
Yeah.
difference. And I think that's the only movie that actually had a good screenwriter. I mean, I think somebody wrote Return of the Jedi as well, but
Yeah, somebody else.
Somebody did write Return of the Jedi. That's true.
Yeah.
I think
But
some other than George Lucas.
I think Lucas had somebody else come in to help him with Return of the Jedi as well, and he had a different director on that one as well.
different director. Yeah.
Yeah,
But on that one, I'm thinking Lucas probably was actually mostly the director. It was just the other
you think
guy.
so?
Well, I think he was there just doing most of the stuff, but the other guy was technically the director. Maybe
Could have been.
I don't know. Who knows?
I still like. I just watched Return of the Jedi fairly recently. I mean, it's old.
I
but
think
there's
I
some-
think I'm gonna enjoy Empire
I think
and Return.
Huh?
Chub chub.
Chub Chub.
Chub chub.
I think
Or,
I'll
Weird Ass.
enjoy those, but yeah, New Hope is not good, man.
The thing is that Return of the Jedi, I still like that, but some of that may be from nostalgia. The thing with the Return of the Jedi is there is no stopping on that damn thing. It is just
Yeah,
like
it's just
one
go.
rush action scene to the next, to the next, to the next. And so it's stupid, but yet you don't have time to really slow down and see all the shit that's stupid, in different ways. And even the stuff that is stupid, you kind of laugh at anyway and just let it go. So I don't know. I still like Return of the Jedi, but I don't know that I could say it's a good film.
So I read an article about a guy. I think he was like a 38-year-old guy who had never watched any Star Wars movies, and so he sat down and watched like the whole 9-movie saga
I
or
thought it was
whatever.
probably awful.
And he's not a guy who likes sci-fi, Star Wars, fantasy types. Otherwise, he would have watched it by this point in his life,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
probably
it
true.
wasn't his type of thing, but he watched it and he like wrote a review about it as he went. He said that the first like 30 minutes of Return of the Jedi was like the best thing of any of the movies. He said that opening scene was what the whole like trilogy should have been. He said that was just
Boba Fett? Where?
well, like just the whole
But the whole
scene where they're like
setup,
rescuing Han
where they're
and
rescuing
he's
somebody
kind of
is,
right. That's a really good
you know,
sequence.
The bad guy,
I know, I've
seems,
seen it
type
hundreds
things.
of
And,
times.
yeah, exactly right. But there's action and everything else. I mean, it's really good.
It is. So I think Return of the Jedi is really helped by that opening sequence.
It is a bit, but I mean, even the stuff on Endor and stuff, there's a lot.
Yeah,
of
I
action
enjoy that
happens
stuff,
there. I
too.
mean, you got the
Yeah.
biker scouts, and that type of things and stuff. That are. Just
I like
really
Return of the
fantastic.
Jedi, but
I do.
We're
I
not
do
there
too.
yet.
You know, and here's the thing though. Too,
I think
is
people
that,
just start with Empire.
that last trilogy though, with The Force Awakens and all that other stuff, had the chance to be. They could have done something there if they would have sat down and probably outlined their whole fucking thing instead of trying to have that.
It's such a lost opportunity.
It really is, and that's what I think
had a
annoys me
chance to do
so much
something
because
really
they
awesome.
set it up, I thought, fairly well with The Force Awakens. The Last Jedi, well, I know that you're not much of a fan, is honestly, I think, is a fairly good movie, but it does not belong in this whole fucking saga whatsoever.
Yeah,
it needed to be one of
match.
those damn standalone films that was out there somewhere on the side that didn't have any of these other characters they wanted to screw around with, and just make some movie about how the Force is alive and some other damn people. That's really what they needed to do. It totally F's up that whole fucking last trilogy that they wanted to do. Because then by the third one now, Rise of Skywalker, while what they were doing maybe was not a bad idea, they just freaking were throwing so much shit in there and everything else that they were like, oh, we got to do this, this, this. If they would have had 2 movies to let that thing, fan out like it probably should have, they probably could have had a really good trilogy there. But, and I think that's what really pisses me off in that one, is the fact that they made essentially now 2 films that are really not that good because they didn't belong, and what they didn't, phase it out, outline it, whatever you want to say, really set it up very well at all.
That's the one thing about episodes 1, 2, and 3. It does feel fairly cohesive.
Oh shit! Yeah, hell yeah.
Because I feel like he had a vision, he knew he had an outline, he kind of knew where he wanted to go.
Yeah, and he knew where he wanted to go by the end.
And so I think cohesiveness, that actually works pretty well. It's just the movies aren't very good.
Yeah.
They're not very well written, they're not very well directed.
Yeah.
They're just clunky.
Yeah.
But
I would agree with that.
But the story was good, and it was, it is, and I don't know that you can ever get it back. You know what I mean? Like, they've done 7, 8, and 9. There isn't really a redo on those.
No.
And the other thing is,
they just need to let that
movies,
go. And
the other thing is, those movies don't really fit in the saga anyway. I feel like 1 through 6 is fairly cohesive, without
very true,
kind of, but 7, 8, and 9 just feel kind of tacked on because they were.
Because they are. Yeah.
They're not part of
they
really
were
the
all
arc.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
I don't know.
It's a bit of a mess. I mean, I think they're starting to figure out their focus now, and things. The stuff like The Mandalorian is taking the Star Wars universe into new directions, and it has people that really care about the material. I mean, while it has its dumb stuff, and things, at least to the point, it has a vision. When you watch the 8 episodes of The Mandalorian, where they start from and where they end, seem to be a point that they were trying to get to. It kind of all flows in there.
I think they're pretty good at the side stories. Like Rogue One was good. Solo, whatever you think.
Honestly, Solo, I didn't think it was that bad either.
Mandalorian's been good. So I think their side stories, they're doing a good job with.
Yeah.
It's the main stuff that they're struggling.
Shouldn't have messed around with the damn Skywalker saga. They should have just...
They should let that lie and just do something new.
And do something totally different, yeah.
But they thought they needed that, transition.
That's what I said 4 years
You're right.
I know, and you were right.
100%.
100%.
They should not have tried to continue. Because the actors were too old at that point.
Yeah.
And none of them were that interested in the material anymore. Like Harrison Ford, I don't think really wanted to do it.
No, he wanted to die.
So
but they did get him to come back, and
I think
he had fun with it.
I mean, if they had done it sooner, I think it would have been cool to do something similar to the Thrawn trilogy. But even that feels like unnecessary, really. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of like fan fiction. I mean,
it really is.
It doesn't really need to be there, and that's why they should have just.
No, it doesn't. I mean, really, what the Thrawn trilogy was trying to keep some things relevant while trying to maybe get people, back involved and stuff. And so it's kind of setting some things up, but it's kind of showing it. Really, where I felt like the Thrawn trilogy was doing was trying to set up where maybe people would want to go in the future, type things. Okay, Han and Leia are married, they got some kids, Hey, look, let's find a possible love interest for Luke here, maybe that can happen down the line, this type of stuff. But yet have a bad guy that seems pretty good, can cause some conflict in his own way, because Timothy Zahn was really good at characterization. You know, I mean,
Yeah, like I say, it was
his
really well
characters that he
done.
brought in there were
but
really
yeah,
good. But that's really what it felt like was, okay, here's a starting point for other people to write off of.
yeah,
You know,
and that's
from a
what I
fan
think
fiction
they
type of
did
perspective,
with
yeah.
all the. I never read any of the other stuff after that, but
I read the
Okay.
Yuzon Vong series of stuff, and I thought that was very good.
Yeah.
You know, in a lot of ways. I mean, some books obviously were stronger than others, but overall, as a whole, it was definitely something interesting to that whole Star Wars universe. But now means nothing. It's a parallel path now, alternate universe, whatever the hell else you want to say.
I started watching Mad Men.
You've never watched Mad Men?
I never have either.
Scott never has either. But I still remember when you and Joe Badon did a podcast and talked about it for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
You said in that podcast, I remember this very distinctly, that it doesn't really get going until about the middle of season 2.
Yeah.
Is that true? Because the first season is good, but it feels like not a lot's happening, and it's just really kind of spinning its wheels a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they're establishing the characters and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I remember liking all of it, but that would have been right after we watched. I think right after it ended or whatever.
Yeah.
But I love Mad Men.
I know. Does it? So it seems like we're watching it, and like it's the same problem I kind of had with Breaking Bad at one point. Every character is kind of a jerk. Like,
Oh yeah.
Does that change? Do you start to actually care about any or like any of the characters, or they continue to be
assholes.
jerks the whole
They're
time?
all assholes.
Okay.
Even the chicks. Well, the what's her name?
Do any of them? I guess I won't spoil anything, but like a lot of them are doing really bad behavior. Does any of that come back to bite them at any point?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so there are some consequences for
Yeah.
being jerks, at least.
Well,
Somewhat.
yeah. I mean, and some of it takes till like the very end
Yeah.
for it too. But I mean,
Like, do these characters learn any kind of life lessons, or I mean, I don't know. Don't tell me anything. I just
right.
that's just kind of where I'm at. It's
I
I'm like,
can't remember her name. Peggy.
Yeah,
Is it
Peggy.
Peggy?
She's kind of likable.
Yeah, she's not an a-hole, and she
Yeah,
doesn't
she's
really
not.
turn into an a-hole.
No,
but
she's
the
not.
rest, but that's the whole whatever
point is-
50s and 60s. It's like all the men are horrible, terrible,
Apparently,
you know, whatever. But
Womanizing.
some of
whatever.
the women
are pretty bad too.
can get pretty bad too. But
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to watching all of them.
we
Pretty interesting.
what is there 5 seasons?
7,
Ooh,
There's 7.
God.
but there are only 13 episodes.
Well, yeah, but they split that.
the 7th season
one
is split into 2,
into 2.
but it's still 6 and 6 episodes.
Right.
6 and 7 episodes. Or something. Maybe
Speaking of
7,
like
7.
watching old stuff, we watched Aliens.
Oh, I need to watch that.
Ooh. Game over, man. Game over.
I know. I remember. I probably haven't seen that movie since I saw it in the theater when I was
What?
a kid.
Oh,
Oh
really?
my gosh.
Well, it's been a long, long time.
It's a little dated.
That movie is long and boring. Until
Aliens
it
is?
gets to the. There's not a whole lot of action in Aliens.
Well, you've got the very beginning where like everybody dies, or most of the
and then they're
military
just
guys,
basically talking for the
and then
next
they
hour.
talk for a long time.
They
there's
talk
that,
for a
but there's that
long
damn
freaking
whole
time.
parts of
And
of
then-
suspense and whatever the hell else when those damn aliens are through the frickin'
Well, it takes
tunnels
forever to
and
get
crap.
going too, because
Oh
they
my
have all
God.
the training at the beginning where they're just getting to know the characters, and it takes like
Yeah.
45 minutes before they even like land on the planet,
That's
doesn't
true.
it?
yeah.
It is a long movie.
Yeah, it's good 2.5 hours.
Well, and
Yeah,
the
it
thing
is.
was, so like we had. So
but that's
my,
back when movies like took their time to
But
get started. You know?
even my wife, she's a
was James
huge
Cameron as
Alien
well.
fan, and she bought like she has like the Alien quadrilogy or whatever. It's like
Sorry,
1,
the only
2, and
ones that are
3.
good are 1 and 2.
It's 1, 2, and 3. And we're sitting there watching it, and I mean, we were watching it, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this movie's long. And
Oh, yeah.
no, we were watching like the director's cut that had like an extra 40 minutes
Yeah.
added into it, or what? It's like a 3-hour freaking movie.
I was gonna say that could be the
like,
problem there.
like,
is I thought
oh
that they
my
did a
God.
director's cut of that thing,
And we're like-
Cameron loved to throw a
It's
bunch
like
of crap.
late, and I'm like, is this thing close? And she's like, oh no, they still have to like do this and then do that, and they got to do this. And I'm like, I'm going to bed. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Wow.
I'm like, I figured we'd been with this in like an hour and 45 minutes.
No,
And
it's
she's
at
like,
least a 2.5 hour movie.
she's like, no,
Yeah,
this
I
is.
think-
She's like,
yeah.
this is the director's cut. She's like, didn't you notice all the extra stuff that they threw in, like all the added scenes? And I'm like, no.
I don't remember this
I
movie.
don't remember this movie at all.
Oh my god!
That's crazy.
But yeah, we watched that. I started watching Lost.
You never watched Lost?
No, I'm rewatching it.
Ah.
But I only got like 3 episodes in. And then I found out that Watchmen was free.
Free.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if is it still?
I don't know. It was for a while.
It was for June. They released it free
For
for
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth.
Okay.
I don't know if it was just that. I'm sure it was more than a day, though.
Well, yeah, because I started on Friday and I finished it Monday.
Yeah.
Well, damn, you should have texted me.
Well, I figured Drew wouldn't even want to watch it.
Well, I'm interested. I would have to watch it without
Did
my
you like
wife,
it?
so I don't
Yes.
Have, I don't have 8
Oh,
hours. or
God,
something.
yes.
Did you?
It
You
is
did? I like it.
so
Everybody said
good.
it's really good.
Well,
It
my
is
brother watched it and he
really-
said, it was okay.
Dude, it's good. It was nothing what I expected it to be. Like, I didn't even know it was free because of Juneteenth. I just thought it was freaking free. So I had no idea. I hadn't read anything. I had no idea what it was about whatsoever. But it deals with a lot of,
How many
obviously,
How many episodes?
race
is it?
stuff.
10, I think.
9.
9.
It's
Yeah,
9?
it's 9.
All
I thought it
hour
was
long?
10. Yeah, they vary. They're around an hour. Some of them are like an hour and
It's
10,
HBO, so they
hour
can do it
5.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring, that
55.
they'd be in that 50-minute,
It
50
is
minutes.
so good, though, man. So good. But
Hmm.
there's some stuff that's really brutal. Like, it was hard to watch, like, to get through. Like, I was just like, oh, wow. Like, and then, so it's set in 2019. So it's basically 35 years after Watchmen.
Okay.
And yeah, it's kind of crazy, like, because they did it last year, and it's kind of crazy, like, that this is now, like, that he did this before, because you have all the race stuff,
Yeah.
which is kind of coming out now, and then the other big deal with it is that
There's a pandemic.
well, no, there's not a pandemic, but so there was a thing called the White Knight, which was basically, there's this group, they're called the 7th Cavalry, and they're basically like the KKK. And they in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they invade, like, they find out who all the cops are, and they go to their house and they, like, kill, like, 98% of the cops, just, like, attack their houses and kill them. And so then they bring in this, it's a new program or whatever, but the cops all wear masks so that
People know who they are.
people don't know who they are. So it's kind of weird, like, opening scene, you see this cop come up and he's got a mask on. And I mean, everybody's wearing masks now because of the pandemic. And so it's just kind of weird to see, like, it's just the cops. It's not like everybody. But I don't know. I mean, I may be looking into it a little bit more. I really, really, really liked it. It was really cool. It was really well done. It ties into it. It's funny. It's crazy because they bring what's her name back? Lori or
Silk Spectre.
Silk Spectre. She's in it, but she's older. And then I don't know if you
You
guys.
think
are
Alan
gonna...
Moore liked it?
I'm sure Alan Moore hated it, but they really did. I think Damon Lindelof, like, wrote the whole thing,
Yeah.
right?
Right, yeah.
I think
He
so.
did a really good job. I mean, there were a lot of throwbacks to it. There were a lot of things with it.
Here's a question. Since it's so different than Watchmen, do they even have to call it Watchmen? Because it's just been the same thing?
Well, no, because it does. I mean, it is Watchmen. I mean, you have the characters. I mean, Ozymandias is in it. Dr. Manhattan is in it. Silk Spectre is in it, but I mean, those are the only 3. But I mean,
Yeah.
it does it.
The owls,
it
not to whatever. Night
no,
Owl.
it plays into Watchmen. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like a direct. I mean, it's like a sequel. It's a different setting, but it
After
has
Watchmen?
all the themes. I don't know. It might be Afterwatch. I never read very much of
I'm
that
kidding. There
stuff.
is no After Watchmen.
Well, what
There's
was that?
before
other thing?
Watchmen.
Oh, before
Oh, is that what it
Watchmen,
was?
there was no After Watchmen.
That's
Yeah,
what I should.
never mind.
That's a
Oh,
joke.
damn.
But I mean, it was really well done. But yeah, it
Doomsday
deals.
Clock? Did Superman show up?
There is almost kind of a doomsday clock.
No Superman, though.
No, I'm
No.
talking about the Doomsday Clock series that DC put out. Wasn't that?
Oh.
Wasn't that a sequel to Watchmen? technically?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. But no, it's not Doom. Well, I don't. No, it's not Doomsday Clock. But no, I really enjoyed it. It was good.
Cool.
But yeah, Ozymandias is in it. He's freaking batshit crazy, man. The dude. And it
Imagine
took me.
that.
I'm stupid because I'm sitting here watching it, and they've got it's Irons. what's his name?
Jeremy
Irons. He plays Ozymandias. But they don't tell you that it's Ozymandias. It's like, why am I watching this old dude like go semi-crazy or whatever, you know, like, and then like it clicked like in the second episode maybe or something. I'm like, is he Ozymandias? And then they explain who he is, that it is Ozymandias. So I figured it out before they spoon-fed it to me, but then I was like kicking myself because I'm like, and then they keep talking about like Dr. Manhattan, and I'm like, when is he gonna show up? And then the way they did it is very weird, and I didn't catch on, but I caught, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I can't say anything better about it. It was awesome.
Cool.
But I was going into it thinking it was 10 episodes, and I'm sitting there watching the 9th episode, and they're kind of tying everything up. Like, they are tying everything up, and I figured they'd have like a 10th episode, like an epilogue or whatever, you know, and then it just goes to like a movie, and I'm like, what the hell? And I go back and I'm like, oh, it's only 9 episodes, because he does end it kind of on a you don't know like thing. And then I read an interview with him about it, and they said something about the ending, and he's like, well, you don't know because we didn't show this happen, so you don't know whether that happened or not.
Yeah, it's up to the viewer.
Well, no,
possibly,
kind of, sort of.
Or if they would have got picked up for a second season.
But I read that he
didn't
didn't want to do a second season.
Oh,
he
really?
did everything that he did on that.
But he said that somebody else could pick it up and do it.
Yeah. Now, see, if they did another one, I don't know, because they really
That's
did.
how I felt about the original Watchmen.
They were the original Watchmen.
If they did another one, I don't know.
I don't understand.
Did you get it, Scott?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you didn't think that they should have done the Watchmen that I just watched?
Yes.
I think you would really like it.
I'm sure I would.
It has a lot of themes, and it has a lot of.
It sounds cool. I hear good things. I think I would like it.
It's good. It has Don Johnson in it too.
Well, there's a selling point.
Woohoo!
And he plays like a.
So you literally didn't read anything?
I read nothing.
It's been 2 weeks.
I know. The last weekend.
Well, most of mine I read like the weekend after our last podcast, so it's been like 10 days since I've read.
Well,
this, so let's see
that
how I remember.
last weekend after our last podcast, we did nothing but yard work and all kinds of stuff. So my entire weekend was gone. I've been working.
How's your basement doing?
Still water coming in.
Cool.
Wow.
Are they
Not as
fixing it?
much. Yeah, here in a week or two.
Week or two.
Yeah. Cool. And then this last weekend, I basically, in the time that I had, I watched Watchmen.
Cool.
I didn't have a lot of free spare time.
Well,
to do
Watchmen's
stuff.
that's like 9 episodes.
That's a lot of
That's
time.
9 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also watched, what was it, Manchester by the Sea?
And I didn't.
Oh, did you like that?
I did, but I don't know that I would ever want to watch that again.
It's super depressing.
Yeah, and I don't think I could ever recommend it to anybody either. But
Yeah, it's a good movie though. It's well done.
Yeah, it's well done.
Kinda
and
rips
things
your
of that
heart out a
nature,
little
but
bit.
yeah, it's
Hope-
heartbreaking there.
Hopefully, pretty soon I will have watched Knives Out.
Oh,
You can watch that.
Because
I
it's
enjoyed
on,
it.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Amazon
Yes,
Prime or
it is.
Hulu. Something.
It's Amazon Prime.
Guess what I
Prime.
watched? Last one.
Yeah.
Deer Hunter.
Oh my god,
Had you seen it?
Yeah, like a long
Oh,
time
yeah.
ago.
I
Like
have
20
never
years
seen
ago,
it.
probably.
What?
I have not seen that.
Like
Oh my
20 years
God.
ago.
Yep.
That movie's horrible. Well, I mean, it's not horrible. It's good. It's well done, but man, it's way too long.
Oh, it's long.
I believe it.
And it's slow.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not just that it's long. Like 45 minutes for a wedding.
Who was the director on that?
Michael Cimino.
Okay.
So after he made Deer Hunter, he got one of all those awards, and they like said, "Oh, dude, do whatever you want." So he made this movie called Heaven's Gate, a
Oh.
western,
Okay.
and the studio pressured him to get it done like in time for the Oscar season, and so he had to like cut it from like 3 hours down to like 2 hours or 2 hours and 10 minutes. Critics savaged it for like a 40 million budget in like 1980 something. It made like $8 million at the box office. Huge, completely destroyed his career. Like he never made another major movie since. The only other movie he made was Year of the Dragon. That was fairly well known.
Yeah.
Remember that one with Mickey Rourke? But after that, he made like no other well-known movies.
Huh. Wow.
And then what was funny is like, then all the critics after he made Heaven's Gate, they came back like, Deer Hunter had some issues. They all like backtracked on their like assessment of it, and started like crapping on Deer Hunter too. It's pretty funny.
Since I won't be talking for a while, one more movie that we watched.
One more movie.
Invasion USA.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, it was bad.
I'll bet.
Oh my god, it was bad.
Good. What about the cool dream sequence at the beginning there? Didn't it have a cool dream sequence?
Who's in that, or what's his
Chuck
name?
Norris.
Chuck Norris.
I thought it had a cool dream sequence at the beginning.
With the two, he's got the two Uzis strapped.
Okay.
In the movie poster?
Yes.
I think maybe I got that mixed up with Delta Force. I don't know.
That
Yeah,
could be.
I don't Delta
Dream
Force
Sequence
must be
good.
Delta Force. But yeah, dude.
No,
it's-
Missing Action is the best.
It's not good.
That could be true.
It was not good.
I'm gonna go back and watch Lone Wolf McQuade.
I don't know that I've ever seen one with McQuaid.
I don't know if I had
McQuade,
it either, but
Lone Wolf.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
I think I tried to watch Code of Silence because it was like on one of the streaming services. I think I got about 10 minutes in and just checked out. And I was like, no, I don't think so.
Have you seen that? You've seen that? I've seen it a couple times. It's like a meme or whatever going around with the COVID, and it's reporting that somebody's dead.
Like Chuck Norris.
Did you see the Chuck Norris?
Yeah, I did.
Chuck Norris died from COVID, but he got better. He's recovering now, and COVID's in quarantine for 14 days after being exposed to Chuck Norris.
No, my favorite meme that I saw the last 2 days was it was the urine test. Have you guys seen the urine test one with why you should wear a mask? So it's like why you should wear a mask. So if everyone went around naked and one guy pees, his pee gets on the guy next to him, right? But if the guy next to him is wearing pants, then the pee kind of gets you a little wet, but not completely wet.
I think
if you're both wearing pants, when the guy pees, it stays with him, and none of the pee gets on you.
There you go. So that's why you should wear
The
a
urine
mask.
test,
I
why
have
you
heard
should-
that one. Yeah.
That's pretty good. I like that one. All right.
No, it makes total sense now.
It does, yeah.
All right. I read Blood Force Trauma
What?
by our friend Jake Smith. This is his new book that he's putting out.
Dead Gremlin?
Dead Gremlin Comics. It was a Kickstarter, and I just got the Kickstarter, and I got a T-shirt too.
Ooh.
But this is pretty cool. I like his art, obviously, but it's basically there's like a big arena where like people fight, and one guy's Thrash Skullcracker against Meat Grinder, and it's like a big tournament, and these are the final two. And this dude dude spends his grocery money to get a ticket to watch the fight. And then they're fighting, and the one guy wins, and then
That seems
Oh my
irresponsible to spend your
that.
grocery money to
Right?
go to a fight.
But then he's in the audience, and he gets called out to come fight this guy, like from the audience.
wow.
And then somehow he
Maybe
wins,
he won't
and
need
he
that
becomes,
grocery money.
and then he becomes the new champion.
Huh.
And that's pretty much it. But the art's cool. It's fun. It's very kind of lighthearted, but it's ultra violent, over the top. And there it fell down. But anyway,
Nice.
I enjoyed it. Blood Force Trauma.
Okay, cool.
You read, what was his other book? It was called like something like On the Edge or something
Yeah.
like that.
You bought it, didn't you?
I bought the trade, yeah. So it's good.
Oh yeah, I read.
It's
I liked
fun,
It.
over the topish type stuff.
Yeah, it's like a '80s action. It's like
Yeah.
Invasion USA, except if it was good.
Right, exactly. Scott can do one while I figure out if I'm doing any more of my single issues.
You sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's
have
see
a
here. Let's knock this thing out, maybe.
Knock it out.
Of course, this
Knock
might
it
take some time.
Oh,
Season of Mist.
Season of Mist, Sandman, Volume
I quit.
4.
the devil quits. Lucifer's
Okay,
gone.
so that's the thing. Look at this. This is probably one of the longest ones of the Sandman series from
Yeah.
the
Did
graphic
you talk
novel
about this last
perspective.
time?
Yeah, I think it's leftover season.
Sorry, I didn't.
No,
mean to
no, you're
interrupt
good.
you.
Season of Mist.
So the Season of Mist, I mean, it's what, like, I think it's like 8 issues or something like this,
Wow, 8
type thing.
issues.
And the problem is that you just hit the nail on the head.
What did you say?
Lucifer leaves hell, lets whatever else go out there. He gives the key to Sandman. Sandman doesn't know what to do with it. God comes, says, I want it. He gives it to God. Then he goes and he
Story
finds
over?
his old flame and lets her go to do whatever, type of thing. The end. But it takes him 8 fucking issues to get through all this type of thing. So
Then there'd be nothing on the
Give
screen.
it to me. The T-shirt's on the screen.
there you go. So
There's something else up there.
I think it may be my problem with Sandman in general or whatever. At the time, I remember loving, this
Season of the Mist.
Well, I think just Sandman in general.
Oh,
And
yeah.
in particular, Season of Mist is really good.
So you're turning on Sandman, huh?
I think I am slightly turning
Wow.
on it.
Like I turned on Star Wars.
Maybe like you turned on Star Wars. Here's the
You
Sandman is still
guys are
very
turning
good.
into grumpy old men.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like the old one. And
Maybe
you're
I
the-
have standards now.
It is still really good, and the thing is that
I have standards
what
now.
what Gaiman is doing there is so unique and so original. I think at that time, and stuff. It's really at the time. I know when I read it, it was like, oh wow, I don't know that anybody was really thinking much about this, in the past and things.
This spread.
Yeah.
I saw
own
that. Yeah, I wish I could have if
You
I
own
had
that?
like 40 grand. That thing was, I saw it on eBay like 5-10 years ago and it was going, that's insane now.
Who's the artist?
I think it's Sam Keith, isn't it?
I don't know.
No,
No,
is
it's
it?
It's not
I
Drinberger.
don't think so. I don't think it's him either. I mean, he's doing different
Episode
pieces
2.
That
off and
was
on.
Keith.
It might be Keith.
It could be, but I
Pretty
didn't.
sure it is.
Artist Kelly. Sam Keith isn't even listed as an artist.
I didn't think he was.
Huh. Maybe it's not that one then. I thought that's what it was.
They don't make it easy to figure out who the artist is.
No, and
They
that's
Anyway,
part of the fun that
sorry.
they have all through there is that it seems like the artists change quite a bit.
do. They have like 6 artists listed.
I know, and
Maybe it's Kelly Jones.
I think that's one of the problems with Sandman is the non-consistent artists.
Yes, they
Kelly
do have a
Jones?
little bit of an
Does
issue
that look
there.
like
Yeah, I think that's
it's Kelly
definitely
Jones. Okay, so it's Kelly Jones, not Sam Keith.
So
Sorry.
part of the fun though of Season of Mist is the very first issue or whatever introduce Destiny, and talking about the big book that he has, and all this other type of
I'm
stuff.
your
and how
density.
yeah, there you go. And how you go in,
Back to the Future.
I know
that.
what it's from.
but it's introducing the endless a bit more. And it's also introducing another one of those little plot threads that they'll probably talk about more later, and whatever, of that there's 7 of them and only 6 of them show up, and things like this, and how Delirium used to be named something different, and it seems like Desire and Dream don't really care much for each other. The whole sibling rivalry.
Sibling rivalry.
Sibling, there you go.
Sibling rival.
Can't speak again, but
Plain English.
there you go. But pretty much, that type of thing that's going on. That's pretty fun. And then, of course, at the end where, they basically bring out the fact that Dream has kind of exiled some ex-lover to hell for like the last 10,000 years. He's like, was I too harsh? And that's
Right.
like, his sister's like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how things start there, And then when Lucifer gets wind, that Dream's coming there, he's like, oh, this is a great opportunity. I kind of want to go have some fun somewhere else, so I'm going to let everybody out of hell, and hey, here you go, Dream, you can have the key. And then Dream's like, well, what the hell, where's my lover at? I don't know, So then it becomes, him inviting people to the dream world to find out who he's going to give the key to, basically who can give him the best offer for the key, to
Right.
hell. And that's kind of funny because Odin and his lot of Thor and Loki, show up with their ideas, and freaking Thor is just a damn womanizer that's trying to hit on the damn Egyptian cat god, and some other type stuff through there that are all there, and that's pretty funny, type things. But I mean, hell, even that it like takes the better part of 3 issues or something, where it's just kind of stalling things, in its own way. And then ultimately, like I said, there was a couple of angels that were there to watch the proceedings while he was taking these offers for the key. And then basically one of them, finds out that, well, then God hollers at him and says, no, I don't want it, and then they're like, oh, no, God wants it. So can you give it to us? And then they find out, oh, shit, we're going to be the new, guardians of hell. So basically there's 2 angels now. One of them that seems to be mute and doesn't say anything, that are now the guardians of hell. And then basically Dream then does finally find his ex-girlfriend, and apologize while she slaps him and whatever the hell else.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Something like that.
Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar?
It's got a Z
Nebuchadnezzar.
in it.
There you go.
No, it's not Nebuchadnezzar.
No, I know it's not. But
I was just going to see if I could get close. 'Cause
No.
It's been
Not
forever
close at
since
all.
I read it. Let me see.
I remember Season of Mist being kind of
I
a
think
high
it's like
point,
Neela
but now
or
that
something.
Scott's
Neela?
down on it, maybe it's not.
See, I knew it was an
I
N.
don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
This-
It's still
that's
really
Zebra.
good, type stuff. But there's the thing is there's not much that happens. To tell you the truth, Lucifer leaves hell and turns over to God, and he sends a couple of guardians for it.
Yeah.
And Dream lets his girlfriend, go be, to have some other afterlife.
Finds her like in a
It's
cave
a lot of
or
words
something.
to do that, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very long,
It's very dense.
type of thing. And yes, it's Neil Gaiman here again. And so there's a lot of freaking words all going through this type thing, in which some of it's kind of fun, but, especially if I knew maybe a little bit more history of, myths and whatever the hell else,
Sure.
of Egyptians and Vikings and all this other type of things, maybe catch these little in-joke things that he puts in there. But
Kelly Jones art's cool.
it is.
Nada?
Nada, is that it? Okay.
No, maybe not.
So, Season of Mist, it may be the high point of Sandman, but I don't remember it quite as, or I don't love it quite as much as I used to. It's still solid. It's still good. It's, type things. It's very original in what he's doing. But because of, to your point, the wordiness of it all, I don't know if it's as good now than as I remember before.
Comics have gotten better over the
Probably
years.
so.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I read Bog Bodies. Did you buy this one, Don?
I don't know. What is that?
This is a OGN, published by Image Comics.
I don't.
It's written by Declan Shalvey with art by Gavin Fullerton. I think when I ordered this, I thought Declan Shalvey was doing the art and the writing.
Yeah.
But he's not. He just does the writing. Because I really like his art, I think. Or I was interested to see that. But anyway, so it's OGN. It's basically a fairly simple crime story. Declan Shalvey is Irish. And so they talk, it's set in like Ireland, and they talk in like thick like Irish slang, like accents and
wow.
stuff.
So it's almost where you have to say it out loud so you can catch what the
like,
hell is going on.
well, like, not really an accent,
What
but
was
like
that?
slang, so they use like weird terms and
Okay,
stuff.
okay.
But you kind
What
of,
was
by
that?
context, you can kind of figure out what they
It's
mean.
like Snatch, but in a comic book.
Kind of. I don't know if Snatch is Irish. It might be, though. That might be Scottish. I don't really know. But anyway, it's kind of like a Train Spotting, because that was Scottish, I think.
Oh, that was Scottish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those thick Scottish accents.
Did you ever watch the second one?
I didn't, right? That's crazy. I love
You
that
loved
first,
the first
one.
one.
I never watched the second one.
I didn't either.
I didn't really think it needed a sequel, though, to be honest.
No.
Maybe it's alright. I did go back and watch Train Spotting again recently, though.
Somebody needed some money.
Everybody
You
needs
and
money.
McGregor.
Maybe it is Nada.
Alright,
That
so
sounds familiar. Anyway.
Bog Bodies. So it's fairly simple crime. So there's this guy, he's kind of like a hoodlum, he's in a gang, and they got like a big boss. Well, one of his partners comes and says, "Hey, grab your gun, we gotta go, like, do a job." Or he said, "Don't grab your gun, we don't need your gun, but we gotta go do a job." So he tells him to leave his gun. So they go out to the car, and he says to get something out of the trunk, and so I think they are gonna go bury a body, is what he tells the guy. So the body is supposedly in the trunk. So he opens the trunk. Well, it's another dude in his gang with a gun, and points it at him and says, "Yeah, you screwed up. Now we gotta take care of you." So they take him in the car, and they're gonna drive him out to the bog, and they're gonna shoot him and throw the body into the bog and bury the evidence. Apparently, what he screwed up was he was supposed to go shoot somebody, and he shot the wrong person. And so the big boss says, "Someone's got to take the fall for this. You screwed up. Blah blah blah."
Oh.
So anyway, the one guy is kind of his buddy and doesn't really want to kill him, but the other guy's kind of like a cold-blooded killer, and he's all about it. So anyway, so they get out there, and at some point the guy manages to escape, and the one guy doesn't really want to shoot him, so he kind of shoots wide or whatever, but the other guy sees him and takes a shot. I think he hits him like in the leg, so the guy's like running, but he's injured or hit or whatever. So he escapes into the forest, bog area, swamp or whatever, and then he runs into some girl who's out there, and so they kind of, I think she acts like she's been out there for a few days, and they kind of get together and they're on the run together, and these guys are running around the bog looking for him or whatever. Well, eventually it all kind of comes to the head. They catch up to him and blah blah blah. Not to spoil or anything, But it's pretty good. It's kind of confusing at the end. Like at one point, you're not sure if the girl is a ghost or if she's alive or if he ran into her and she's like an apparition. I don't think she is, but then they kind of hint that maybe she's just a figment of his imagination or something. But it's almost like he's trying to redeem himself by helping her get away.
Can I see it?
You may see it.
Thanks.
But it's pretty good. Like I said, I think I would have liked it better if I wasn't quite as... It's kind of like I wasn't 100% clear what was happening at the end. Like, just the way it's...
up to you to figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe it's that kind of thing. I don't always like that because it always feels like, did I miss something? Well, not a cop-out. I feel like I'm dumb. Like, I feel like, was there a point, was there like a nuance that I missed that I should have picked up on, that this girl is supposed to be a ghost, or maybe she's not a ghost, and why am I thinking she might be a ghost? What in the narrative made me think that this isn't quite what I think? Is there a twist that I'm missing, or is there no twist? I just want to know if there's a twist or not, right? Like, I don't...
It says right here, no loose ends, sir.
No loose ends.
I don't know.
So, anyway, but other than that confusing part, it's fairly well done, and I enjoyed it. And the storytelling's really good, and the story's kind of neat, but I just felt like at the end, I was just a little lost. I didn't know if there was something I was supposed to be getting that I was not getting, or if I got it all. So,
yeah, I don't know
anywho.
if I bought this or not. I don't think I did.
Probably not.
Probably not.
You don't do a lot of OGNs.
All right, I don't. I just buy like mainstream Marvel and stuff.
But it looked kind of cool, something different. I enjoy crime stuff. So.
I do enjoy crime stuff.
Yeah. All right, Scott's next.
Do you have any other single issues or anything?
No, I'm not going to talk about any of those. None of them anything really happened that I really remembered.
So
You read both those big bastards?
Well, this one I was almost done with last time. I finished it.
Royal City.
Royal City.
Royal City.
Yes, that you have
I can
nicely
open it
bound
up.
and everything. Jeff Lemire, right, and art.
He does it all.
Yes, he does.
Did you listen to any of his mixtapes?
I did not listen to any of his mixtapes. In fact, it makes me feel really, to your point, dumb on my musical knowledge, because there's one area in there in which it's like, oh wow, I actually had some of those.
Yeah.
But for the majority of the music that he's got in there,
Not really.
I don't even know any of these.
Right,
or whatever
I'm the
that
same way.
was. Were you? Okay, so I just felt kind of dumb, but
I did not listen to his mixtapes.
I didn't
either,
listen to them.
and I didn't recognize a lot of it.
but
It's got Float On by Modest Mouse.
yes, yeah.
I don't.
Like
know
I
who
said,
that is.
occasionally there's a couple of them.
But yeah,
maybe,
there's some obscure stuff
but
too.
there's a lot of stuff. I did, like 90% of it. I don't
Modest
really-
Mouse is not obscure.
No, Float On, that's a
Float
very
On
big hit.
it was a pretty big hit. On the
Pretty big
radio.
hit, Don. Come on.
I can't actually think of it right at the moment, but how it went. But yeah. Anyway, though,
Huh.
Royal City. He doesn't want it to be called a slice of life story, but quite frankly, it's
Totally slice of life.
it is. It really is. I feel like it.
Yeah.
I mean, did you not get that? I don't know.
Yeah, it was
You've-
basically about this family.
You've already talked a bit about what it's about, but yeah, it's about a family who had a death in the family, and it's all scarred them in their own different ways, and they happen to see visions of the family member that was lost, in this case Tommy. Was it?
Tommy, yeah.
So
What's cool is they all see him slightly differently.
Yes, they
like
do.
how they
Yes, they
remembered
do.
him in
Yeah.
a certain way.
yeah, no, that is interesting, but yeah. And it brings up, basically hidden secrets, or I don't know I don't know if it's as much secrets as insecurities of all
Yeah.
the family members, and things of that nature, and pulling them out and trying to release them from different guilts and things of this nature that they have. And that's really what I think a whole lot of it is trying to move on
Yeah.
in a lot of ways after certain things,
Correct.
depending on what happens to you.
Well, it seems like when he died, all their lives they didn't completely stall out, but they all kind of hit a stall point in their lives,
Somewhat, except for the one boy who was the writer, type thing.
Well,
But
he
then
couldn't
in
get his
own
other
way-
book written, or like he kept
Well,
kind of hit writer's block. or
But
whatever.
he didn't actually become a popular writer until he took his brother's notebook
Correct.
after he died.
Yeah.
So, but he has that guilt, type of thing of
Correct.
going, I can't come up with anything. The only thing I actually came up with was your story, Tommy. But I find it funny, part of that, what do you want to say, not looking in the past or believing more in yourself, because there's like several people throughout the book that go, oh, your second novel, I really enjoyed that, you know, type thing, you know, where he just thought it was total crap, you know, it wasn't as popular or whatever else, you know, type thing, and it was kind of that little bit of a reinforcement that no, you're not as, you know, it's not as bad, you know, maybe it wasn't as popular, but
and hey, he married a famous movie actress. I mean, how bad can your life be?
How'd that work out for him?
Well, that's the funny thing.
Okay.
They were getting divorced and everything, but as the story goes on, you know, they're trying to put that back together, you know, and stuff.
Yeah, he actually kind of has a happy ending.
Yeah, overall for this, it is kind of interesting. I mean, besides the fact that it leads up to Tommy's death, so that you know of how he dies, but you knew that from, you know, issue 1 or something to this point, you know, or something like this. So overall, his family members are starting to move on, you know, and they seem to have some clarity, maybe. I don't know what you want to say, but
so this isn't your typical type of book. Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. You know, it was. You are right. At first, I wasn't real sure, especially like that, just to get started, you know, type thing. But once you kind of got started, I think Lemire's here again. I tend to be more attracted to the writers, you know, in a lot of ways. He's a really good writer, you know, in a lot of ways, and he knows how to pace things. Yeah, I think too, and that strength, you know, I think shows up here. I mean, he knows when to speed things up, and he knows when to kind of slow it down, and like, hey, I need to tell a little bit more of a story here, and type things. And I think that's what I appreciated, because after like the first issue, you know, type things, I mean, it really moved at I think a fairly good clip, you know, type stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell you read it from freaking month to month, because it
was hard.
Yeah,
it was much
really
better when I sat down and read the whole
thing. There you
thing.
go. I could see this. This is something that needs to be read as a collection. I mean, it is one full story type of thing that it really needs to be read that way, I think. But yeah, you're right. I enjoyed it, but I mean, it's much like Manchester by the Sea, like we were talking about. You know, it feels in some similar veins, you know, of that. You know, maybe this has a little bit more of tries to be a little bit of a supernatural feel, maybe, or something in some respects.
Yeah,
but
not really.
But not really. But yet there's something in there where he's trying to throw, you know, maybe some question marks in there of some stuff. But, you know, it is kind of that, how do we react to different tragedies that happen? Yeah. You know, type stuff.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. Yeah.
I'm good.
Yay.
I read, finally, after like 30, 20 years, I finished Miracleman.
I'm sure it's horrible.
Miracleman, holy shit.
It's not horrible.
I'm sure it's terrible.
Didn't that come out in like the 1950s?
1980s. So this is one of Alan Moore's first superhero deconstruction things he did. Miracleman. So Miracleman was actually an old, like,
I was right,
British
1950s.
British 50s like thing. I think it was modeled after Captain Marvel, you know.
Is that the Marvel copy?
Yes, these are all the Marvel copies, not the original.
Oh,
I wouldn't buy the originals because they're worth like a lot of money.
You bought all the Marvel ones?
Yeah, and I bound them so I could have it all together. So
the artist who will not, or the writer who will not.
Yeah, so the writer is the original writer because he didn't want his name in the book. So
Alan Moore did not?
No, because he hates Marvel and they were republishing it. So anyway, the idea is that there's this guy. Well, at some point, they all get blown up, and this guy's just going about his life. He's like a journalist.
Did they recolor it?
They did recolor some of it, yes. But it's actually done pretty well. I liked it. But anyway,
you just wanted the original.
Yeah, give me
just
trash original.
On there, huh?
Miracleman was kind of like Shazam.
Trash.
He would say a magic word, and then his body would be exchanged with the body of the superhero, right? And then his body would go into whatever they call it, some other space. He says Komodo.
Dragon.
Komoda. And then he turns into Miracleman. But anyway, something happened. He had like a kid Miracleman and then like a young Miracleman. There were like 3 of them. And they all got blown up by like an atomic bomb, or they were fighting a villain. They got blown up. He thought the other ones died, but then he lost his memory. So he's just running around his life like a normal dude. He forgot that he's Miracleman. He can even do this. Correct.
He doesn't know the magic word.
Until someone said Komodo dragon.
Correct. So he's at some journal. He's going to some thing covering for his journalism job, and there's a terrorist attack. Somehow he says, Komoda, I don't know, it comes back to him, and he says he becomes Miracleman. He thwarts the terrorist attack. All his memories come flooding back. Blah, 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 blah. Big twist.
Page by page.
Kid Miracleman. All right?
It's
Kid
evil.
Yes. But Kid Miracleman is still alive, so he goes and sees him. Well, it turns out that Kid Miracleman is evil, and once that happened, he basically stayed as Kid Miracleman for his whole life. Like, he never turned back to, like, the young boy, because he's like, I have all these powers. I'm the most powerful person in the world. He's basically built this huge, like, Tony Stark Industries type conglomerate where he's like this big, powerful guy. And now his old, like, more powerful buddy is back. And so they obviously have a big throwdown and fight and all that good stuff. So that's kind of the first arc, is just him dealing with this Kid Miracleman, fighting him, blah, blah, blah. And then the second arc is all backstory. Like, it's how it all happened. So then Alan Moore gets into the deconstruction of, like, oh, you know, you thought it was this, but it was actually this undercover government program. An alien landed, they found the technology, and they, like, brainwashed these guys and made you guys think that you were in this 1950s world, but the real time you're just dreaming, and we were, like, doing all these experiments on you, blah, 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 blah. That's Dr. Gargunza or something, and he's the big doctor who created Miracleman, but he's evil. So then
Gargonzo beans?
Gargunza.
Gargunza beans.
Yeah.
Wow, there you go. There's
Komodo
a nice
dragon
little-
and Gargunza
No,
beans.
there was a couple pages earlier where they had used like squashed two people's heads together.
Yeah, so it gets kind of violent. Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
But anyway, so Dr. Gargunza tries to kill him, and then he defeats him, and then his wife is pregnant, but of course his wife is pregnant with Miracleman's baby, not the human guy's baby. Then there's this very controversial birth issue. I think Steve Geppi at Diamond Comics said he wouldn't like distribute it because it was so graphic. It's basically a comic book of somebody giving birth. I don't want to show it because some people don't want to see that. But yeah, it's very graphic. It's like actual giving birth. Like, you get to see everything.
Huh.
So yeah, it's pretty. But anyway, so Miracleman has a baby, and the baby is a miracle baby. And so she's a little different than a normal baby.
Oh, it's a her.
Yes, Winter is
Oh.
her name.
Winter.
Winter. So that's the second arc. The third arc, there's a miracle woman that shows up that has been there the whole time that nobody knew about. Then,
It's the baby. from
then Alan
another
Moore gets into
dimension.
what I think he's actually interested in doing.
I see that.
He basically, the next arc is basically Miracleman and Miracle Woman basically remaking the world the way it should be. Like, they like get rid of money, everything's free. They pretty much try to create like utopia, basically.
The great garden.
So you take out all the bad people, you make sure there's no needs or wants in the world anymore, and then you try and create like utopian society. And so that's basically what it's at that point. It's like 5 issues of them. There are sequences where it's like Alan Moore just writing like this lyrical like poetry things with like pictures, and it gets a little dry.
Yeah.
And so it's a little hard in parts, but then he jumps back. He does that for a couple pages, and he'll jump back to having some dialogue, and it flows pretty well. Alan Moore's a really good writer. I was worried like this might get a little dense, and it did in parts, but then he would pull it back and kind of keep you going, you know.
Yeah.
So I felt like it had a pretty good balance. It wasn't perfect. And then once Alan Moore left, he did everything he wanted to do up to like issue 16. Then Neil Gaiman took over, and Mark Buckingham, who's the guy who did Fables.
Fables, yeah.
They take over, and they kind of carry on what his story, this utopian world, and he's trying to basically, you know, carry on. And his was basically like 5 or 6 short stories of like different like things within this new utopian world. Just kind of world building a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's supposedly 2 more books that Gaiman and Buckingham want to do, like.
Really?
Yeah, so there should be like 12 more issues or whatever that they still want to put out. But anyway, it was pretty good. I mean, I'd read a lot of this, but there were always gaps because I could never find all the issues. And so having it all together and finally reading it all, it was pretty satisfying to kind of...
Hey, there's the baby.
Yeah, so the baby's actually super intelligent. Like, even at birth, she's like smarter than her mom or whatever, you know, and she has all these powers. She can float around and fly, and they end up populating the world with all sorts of like miracle babies or whatever, you know, like Miracleman donates his sperm to anybody who wants to have a baby, and then they have these super children and start to create this society or whatever. But it's fairly mature. It's
There's
like
a lot of words in this.
Well, there's one point where they do like a children's book that the baby Winter wrote, and this lady's like reading the children's book. That's a Gaiman story though, so yeah. That's a script, it's not the actual book. There's a lot of bonus content in these because I think since they were reprints, Marvel was trying to sell them for $3.99, and so they added like a lot of back matter to each issue. So there's like a lot of scans of like the original art and stuff like that. So
Gotcha.
it's kind of cool. But yeah, Miracleman, it's pretty.
Yeah, I've never read this.
I mean, it's dense. It's definitely not. I don't think it's Alan Moore's my favorite work by him, but I really enjoyed the first 2 arcs where it's like more of a traditional story, and then once you get into the utopian thing where it gets a little more lyrical and poetic, it got a little heavy-handed, but it was still interesting. I feel like that whole what if superheroes were real and they created a utopian society thing has been done to death, but this is probably one of the first instances of that, and so I mean it has some interesting ideas.
Makes me wonder if
Straczynski maybe was influenced by his son. But there's a Marvel book called Squadron Supreme, which was a similar type idea.
Yeah.
That was in the 80s, I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, okay. I think so. Might have been very early 90s. But yeah, it's good stuff. The art's pretty good. It's got Alan Davis does a bunch of it, and Rick Veitch and Gary Leach. Chuck Austin does a couple issues. Remember that guy?
I do.
Yep. That's some of his first work. So, anyway, good stuff.
Wow.
You're up, Scott. We'll end with some Brian K. Vaughan stuff.
There you go. Woo! Why the Last Man?
Oh man, what book are we up to?
We are up to number 5.
Wow, cranking over
Ring of Truth. Yeah, and I think, well, this gets you to the halfway point, pretty much. And I think, here again, this is probably one of the longer graphic novels. I don't remember exactly how many
I thought they were all the same.
No, they
are not.
They vary in size as well. In fact, this one would be actually the longest one for overall issues. But this one kind of, well...
There's naked people in here.
Yeah, imagine that.
Is this for children?
Probably.
Yes.
So
give it to Julia.
John says yes.
Give it to Julia.
Yeah, there you go.
For children.
The big thing with this one is it introduces.
Give her that and let her read issue 9.
Yeah, it's like 8 issues.
Yeah. This one, they get to California finally, so that they can start doing some of the tests.
California.
Yeah, so they can start doing some of the tests to figure out why Yorick.
Does it have the big reveal?
It does have that reveal.
Oh, the big reveal.
That he basically lived because of monkey shit.
Monkey shit.
So,
monkey poo.
Yep. That it turns out
I sort of remember that.
His pet monkey is the reason why they're alive. His pet monkey has the antidote type of thing.
He eats it?
No, but it's around him.
Because
he's
around
in the
and
air.
everything else. But
He
essentially
smells a lot of monkey shit.
because
He
ampersand is
injects it straight into his body. Just get it in there somehow.
Well, I think in the first issue, isn't the monkey throwing his crap around the room or whatever?
Oh yeah, in the very first issue.
Monkeys throw their poop.
Yeah.
I understand that.
So
Someone
and
gets
essentially
in your
that's
mouth.
why he's alive. But there's also a samurai type, ninja.
Well, you gotta
as they
have samurai
call it.
ninja in a
That
book.
There
would
you
make
go.
sense
That's
why there's a
comic book.
sword
That's
on
right.
the front.
That she is after the monkey.
Right.
No, not the poo. She wants the monkey. Because it turns out that this monkey, I think, came from China or wherever the hell Dr. Mann's at, because it was an experiment that her father had done. But you don't really know quite too much of that, but you know that they're after this, and that the monkey is the one that essentially holds the key to, why the males survive, why these 2 males survived, was because it had the so-called antidote in its blood. But the other notable thing on this one too is that he meets flight attendant Beth in this issue, or in this series. Yes, she was the one who was a flight attendant, and of course all the men left, and of course they were the pilot and co-pilot and whatever the hell else, and so she was up in the air when all the men died, and so she has to try to bring the airplane down, and turns out that
Fully.
it kind of crashes. Oh, she didn't do a good job.
Did she land it in the Hudson Bay?
No, she landed it in some fucking field and probably killed the majority of women. And come to find out, I think that the guys had turned on the automatic landing system, so she wouldn't even touched anything. They may have all lived, but I don't know. She mentions that type of thing, so she's second guessing herself.
So is the virus not airborne? Like, how did it get up in the plane? You think it would wait till they got down?
Who knows? I mean, it isn't really much of a virus though either. I mean,
I
it's
don't
sort
know.
of
It's not
when
the.
you find out
It
more
didn't go to
things,
space.
It's not the miracle on the Hudson.
it's not a miracle on the Hudson by any means. But the other key thing though about this Beth is I think it is the first woman in the series that he's actually slept with. Then besides his girlfriend Beth, that
But he's
happened all
been
before.
looking for them.
That he's been looking for the whole time. So
What about the safe word one? Didn't he sleep with that lady?
he did not actually ever sleep with her. He said he was ready to and whatever, and then she's like, "Okay, good, you're healed." So,
Man, shouldn't even want anything to do with him. He was the last man on earth.
but so he not only has sex with this
I think
girl,
the
but
point of this book is that women don't need men.
but this is the first girl that they've met on their travels that's friendly to them
Well,
and doesn't die.
I do believe that
Almost all the rest of them, end up getting killed one way or another whenever they go out of their way to help these poor freaking, morons that are traveling across from New York to California. This is the first one when he actually leaves, she is still alive. So,
I think if I remember anything about this book, I thought I remember something about how they said that they do need a man or the human race won't continue.
They have sperm banks
well,
somewhere.
honestly, that's what part of what I'm getting ahead of myself and from what things I remember as I'm going through, but that's part of what causes the plague is the fact that they are able to clone a female, okay? And essentially that's what they said is that men are no longer needed. That's why they all died. Because
They all
men are
died.
not needed. Because the
Mhm.
fact that you can clone and all you need is the female to actually, reproduce now. To basically put the child in for gestation and everything else and then be the caregiver and everything else. So male became obsolete. And so
Okay.
therefore, all the males died.
Stand corrected. I don't remember shit about this book.
I don't remember much. Been a long
Well, I could end up being wrong on that
No,
once I
you're
go
right.
meet
Oh, I'm
the
sure
other
you're right.
the other doctor. But you will find out, spoiler alert, that Yorick is not the last man on
No,
Earth
it's the
because
astronauts.
freaking Dr. Man's father, I'm pretty damn sure, is still alive.
And
So,
astronauts.
and he's the one who ultimately caused this whole freaking mess. No, the astronauts are dead now.
Oh,
They came down in the issue before, and that was the one where they came down. She was pregnant with one of the astronauts' kids. She wasn't sure which one, and they were it was all on fire, and so they pushed her out first, saying women and children first, and then the whole thing blew up as soon as they pulled her out.
Dumb
So
astronauts.
the two men died. So there
we
was
have plenty of women. We need some men.
That's like that book that I read, Letter 44.
Oh yeah.
That there were some men and some women on that spaceship, and the chick was pregnant, and she didn't know whose it was. Cause
Apparently, if you go into space with
They
men and
were- it
women,
was
there's lots of sex
free-for-all.
going on.
It
It's
must
Yeah.
be. Well, you're bored. I mean, Jesus
Got
Christ,
nothing
there's not
else
a
to
whole
do.
lot to do. Well, a couple other key things out of here. Talking about the astronauts, the woman that was pregnant
he
does
was
have
talking about
the
astronauts.
child, and it is a boy, but they're afraid to move it anywhere, so they're keeping it in this safe zone, in Kansas to
Kansas,
to try to make sure that it's not
Coronavirus
exposed to
comes.
any plague and
That's
whatnot.
where Superman went. and,
Hero comes back and is trying to track down Yorick. She does finally find him there towards the end, and basically they kind of make up somewhat. And then at the very end, Dr. Man, the female one or whatever here, and 355 and Yorick are going to be getting on a boat to go to Asia or whatever and try to find
It's a slow boat.
ampersand.
Slow boat
So-
to China.
Pretty much, because you don't want to take planes because stewardess or whatnot, I'm sorry, the flight attendants don't seem to know how to
Everybody
fly.
knows only men know how to fly.
It's- For some reason, they seem to think that. Well, actually, the Israeli army or whatever seemed to know how to fly. They were in.
Oh yeah, they're Israelis. They
Yeah.
train everyone.
But they seem to know
They're
how to
not
fly, but they
sexist.
don't like to talk to anybody else. So the rest of the world is screwed when the females have taken over.
Why is that? You don't see a lot of female airline pilots. It's interesting.
That is true. But yes, this is still really good, and it reads at such a quick
I don't
pace.
know.
I mean,
Maybe you
Brian
should post
K.
something
Vaughan-
on Facebook about it.
maybe
I
Brian,
would
You might
I
start
don't
something.
think so. You might start like some other. Type
I'm
of
not
movement.
saying it should be that
So-
way. I'm just saying I don't see a lot.
I know you should.
I think there
you
should be more
You
women
should be curious
airline
online.
pilots.
But
On social media, you should be curious.
I don't think being curious on social media is a good idea.
I think I should just disconnect from social media in general
I think
anymore.
that's a good idea.
It might help my overall
Lower
mental
your blood
health.
pressure.
So anyway, Why the Last Man though, it is written so well. I mean, it's like it's made for a series. Netflix should be making this now.
I think
you know.
FX is making one.
Yes, somebody should be anyway. If they do it right, it could be fantastic. It is really good.
Cool. Here's another Brian K. Vaughan book that should be a series. Paper Girls.
Wow, you had it bound?
I did.
Damn.
I thought that's what you read. You
No, I didn't read the
one?
bound one. I read them in
Oh.
the individual issues. Because you didn't even have them all, I think, when you started me reading
Yeah, I
them.
did give you some.
And then you
Yeah.
like, oh, here, it all finished up. And then you gave it to me the rest.
Yeah,
But,
you were excited to read it.
no, it's good. It's Brian K. Vaughan.
So when I first read this and finished it in single issues, I thought the ending was like a cop out, you know. Reading it all together, I don't feel like the ending was a cop out at all. I thought it worked really well.
Good.
Worked a lot
That's what I
better.
told you.
Well, you were right, Don. It's apparently the theme of the episode is you were right.
Okay.
You were right, Don.
He is right on a lot of stuff.
I know.
He's pretty
It
smart.
just takes
guy.
us years to figure it
To
out.
realize
so
he's
right.
he's
ahead of the curve.
Way ahead
Totally
of
ahead
the
of the
curve.
curve. But Paper Girls is by Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chang. Chong.
Oh my God.
You just say that. There's like an I in there.
Who are you,
Cliff
President
Chiang.
Trump?
Cliff Chong. There's an I. It's
Might
not
as well
Chang.
just call it the Kung
Kung
Flu.
I love Cliff Chong.
Dun-dun-dun.
He's the best.
Huh? You love what?
Cliff Chong. He's awesome.
Oh.
He's a great
I
artist.
believe it's. I always said Chang, but
But there's an I in there.
I
Chong.
think the I is silent.
It may be.
I think it's Cliff
I think it
Chang.
makes it. I think it makes it
Chiang.
Yang Chong,
Chiang.
like
I-
Cheech and Chong.
I don't want to bet the farm on it, but I
think
would
it's just
bet
Chang?
that it's
I think
Chang.
I may have
Chiang.
misspelled it on my book. Who knows? I mean, they write what I tell them. So.
There you go.
But anyway, Paper Girls is super good. It's basically about, it's like set in the
It's
1980s
time
to
travel.
start. It is very timey-wimey, as Scott would say. But it's set in the 80s, and it's got these girls who are all paper delivery girls. And they're like the only ones in their town, because all the other paper delivery people
How long
are
was
boys.
this? 20-some?
30 issues.
Oh, it's 30.
30
Okay.
issues, and some I think are oversized. But anyway, so yeah, they're hanging out. It's like the day after.
Did you read this all?
Yeah.
It's like the morning after
I-
Halloween. There's
I
like,
knew you owned it, but I mean, that means
Oh,
nothing
that's
if you've
true.
read
It doesn't mean
That's true. It doesn't mean
anything.
you read it.
No, I did
Um,
read it. I
But
did
yeah,
finish it.
like time travel people come down and like start
Old-timers.
invading. There's old timers, there's young timers, there's people, different factions in the time travel future that are coming. Anyway, they get kind of caught up in this war between the old timers and the new timers, and they get transported away to the past, and they meet like this girl and her baby.
The old timers say that you can't change anything in the past, and the young kids go, "What the fuck? Let's go back and make it better." So they always want to go back and change shit,
Right.
and so that's where the wars come in.
And they end
That's
up going
kinda
into
like
the
where we are right now in real life.
yeah.
Yeah, all that time travel we got going on. Yeah,
They end up going into the future too, and they meet like their future
You're
selves.
gonna, you're gonna agree with me in 3 years.
I probably will. We do have the two forces here at work going on.
No,
Them
you have
them
all
young
the
two-
old people that
That are
want to keep the
saying-
Confederate flag
That's
and,
exactly
and
right.
be
It's
racist.
Yeah.
And then you have all the new young
people that are like,
wanna
let's
change
tear
it.
down and riot and
Right.
blow up everything and
Exactly.
start anew.
It's about right.
Yeah.
As far as the book goes. But anyway, so they also go into the future a few times, and they meet like their future selves. One of the girls finds out she dies
Except for
of
one
like
of them.
she dies of like cancer, like
Right.
fairly
Yeah.
young,
Smoke
like
up, Johnny.
leukemia.
So she
yeah, so
can't-
she just
that's right.
keeps smoking. She's like, "What does it matter?" You
Which
know.
is interesting because she gets the leukemia because of time travel.
Right.
It
not
is.
for the
That is a
cigarettes.
Not from the
twist later,
cigarettes,
not
yes.
from the cigarettes from the time travel.
Yes,
But,
and it's
uh,
incurable.
Correct. And so they eventually end up in the
Tag team in
future.
this bitch.
And they help like stop the war between the old timers and the young timers. But the big twist at the end, well, I don't want to spoil it, but anyway, it's really
Why
well.
not?
Everything kind of
Okay.
ties together, and it's really well done.
But you did end up liking the ending once you got
Yeah,
there, type
like-
thing. Okay.
The ending, like I said, the first time I thought it was kind of a cop out, like nothing mattered. But then when you're reading all at once, you're like, oh no, it kind of really ties into the theme and what they're trying to do, and it makes perfect sense. So I thought it worked really well.
I don't know. I liked it because of the ending. You know, I thought kind of.
Kind of came full circle, but in a way, it also changed, and they.
That's right.
And
It was
moved
like,
forward.
okay, you can't maybe change everything, but there's some,
Yeah.
you know, things that can be tweaked. You know, or
Yeah.
whatever else.
Exactly.
You
I
should
was-
never give up for it because things happen, maybe in small doses or
I'm
whatever.
just gonna make
but-
shirts. DWR.
Don was right.
Okay,
Okay.
You guys are each getting one.
that took me a while.
Cool. But anyway, yeah,
Weird
Paper
because
Girls.
My initials are DRW.
Paper Girls is
Switched
super
to
good.
DWR.
I
You
highly
did enjoy
recommend
it.
it.
Okay, that's good.
I always liked it, but yeah, I always felt the end was a little off. But now reading it all together, I really felt like the end worked perfectly.
Are they making hardcovers of that? A big
There's 3 hardcovers.
Is there really?
that they put out, kind of like a Morning Glories.
Yeah,
type
yeah.
thing.
I might actually have
But
to
yeah, might pick those up.
look those up sometime.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good girl power book. Girls can do it too. Equality.
That's what we need.
It's got some, it's got a lot of
They can be-
social
they can be
issues
pilots.
that are kind of put in there too. So,
Man, you
I
guys
don't know.
read a lot of women books.
Did we? Miracleman was Miracleman.
Paper Girls and Why the Last Man. It's very female centric.
That's true. Well, it's Brian K. Vaughan. He loves the females.
He does.
He's like the Joss Whedon of comics. He's probably like, a big
I
jerk
feel
like
like
Joss Whedon too.
I feel like
Wow. There you go.
You said what?
I wouldn't say jerk, but maybe a liberal, big liberal like Joss Whedon.
I feel like I should go home now and watch Miss Marvel or Marvel or whatever the hell.
Captain
Captain
Marvel.
Marvel?
Marvel, that movie.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's all we have. Do you have anything else, Donnie? You could talk too much this last time.
Yeah, come on.
Except interjecting during my reviews.
Hey,
right,
that's
So
but
that
that's
was
what
helpful.
that's what we wanted him to do.
All right. Thanks for
Exactly.
listening, everybody.
Yeah,
we will
thanks.
catch you in a couple weeks if
See
we're
ya.
lucky.
I'm out.